Good to go. All right, so how have you been? First of all,
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. So
Are you
just for
guys
the
are you guys out of school today?
yeah, it's a teacher work day. So
Okay.
yeah. So just for those who don't know, could you give a brief background of like which yourself and what you do?
Sure. My name is Chris Moore. I'm the director of the undergraduate uh, program at Georgia Tech, coordinator of undergraduate studies, and the director of the athletic bands. So I
Great.
oversee the entire program from admissions to graduation for our music technology students.
Wow, that's awesome. So since you work with the students at Georgia Tech, I know there's like various careers within music technology. Like some go to tech companies, film scoring, the mainstream recording industry, other stuff like that. So what are the most common ones that you see students take, and are there any that you wished more students pursued?
Sure. So our program is focused primarily on creating technologies. It's a very STEM oriented program. So our students are going to leave and go work in either hardware or software manufacturing. So like
Mhm.
design, development, implementation of new technologies and hardware and software. They can work in streaming media, different types of ways to deliver technologies to be able to deliver audio and music content to consumers, ways to share audio um, and music back and forth. They can go into performance technologies. They can go into creation technologies, like companies that would make software for writing music or notating music or anything like that. So it's a very very broad field, very very
Yeah,
diverse field.
yeah. So that kind of
Uh,
actually ties. Oh, sorry. Did you have something else to say?
well, I was just going to say, I mean, they continue to find new places to work, which is pretty cool because they're, you
Yeah.
know, fortunately, audio is everywhere,
Hmm.
and we're always looking at ways to improve how we consume and experience sound. So there are lots of opportunities for them to get involved in different types of companies.
Yeah. So that kind of ties into my next question. So like recently we've seen many developments of like artificial intelligence that have aided music. So one of my favorite technologies is a website called lawwall.ai. It derives like vocal, drum, and like instrument stems from any song file that you give it. So what are some other applications of machine learning within music tech that you've seen recently? And has Georgia Tech done a lot of research on these?
Well, our robotics lab is primarily focused on AI
Yeah.
because they're we're inputting data into robots or into a computer. The computer is deciphering that information, and based off of algorithms that have been written for that computer, it's basically learning over time how to interact back to us. And we're using robots as kind of the mechanism. A robot that plays a marimba, or a robot that sings, or
Yeah.
a robot that plays percussion, or now there's strumming on a guitar. So that's kind of the level of AI that we're working with at Tech.
Yeah. Actually, I want to talk about Shimon a little bit. So
Yep.
I remember when you came into my school a couple of months ago, you showed us Shimon, which is like a robot that can improvise on the marimba. So I was also fascinated by the prosthetic hand that the school developed. Uh, I believe it was called Skywalker, right?
Yes. Yeah. There are two. There's a prosthetic drum arm that was developed for a local drummer that lost his arm in an electrical accident. And the drum arm has two sticks on it. One of them is controlled by the drummer, and one of them is controlled by a preloaded sequence in a computer. And then there's the Skywalker. From that they developed the Skywalker hand, so he can actually use ultrasound to manipulate the fingers by reading the muscle movement in his forearm.
That's, that's so cool. I think it's like really interesting how you guys have like found a way to like combine robotics and like STEM into like a humanity like music and just like intersect it into like an entirely new industry, which is just like I find it super cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's really exciting. And they took it a little bit of a step further, and they developed a third arm for a two-arm drummer. it actually straps onto your shoulder and you can manipulate it. We're actually using like visualization, like Connect, like, you know,
Yeah.
like a gaming Connect
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
just, you would turn your head and the arm would go wherever you wanted the stick to perform. So
That's like, I light my heart up. That's so cool.
yeah, good. That's cool.
So I know Georgia Tech has done a lot of work in the past to promote like female and underrepresented ethnicities in technology and music, like the Your versus Power competition with Amazon. So
Yep.
what are some other things that Georgia Tech is doing for diversity in music tech?
Well, I mean, we're actively recruiting, you know,
Mhm.
for diversification within our student body, but also within our faculty. So we're always looking, trying to expand, you know, our outreach and where we are there. You know, because, you know, the more diversity we get in our program, the stronger we all become.
Yes.
You know, and the better output we'll have as a program and as a community. There's a music and women in music tech club on campus.
Oh.
It's open to all uh, you know, women on campus that are interested in technology, music technology. They don't have to be a major. They can just, you know, be a student that's interested in music tech.
Yeah.
And we have an extremely diverse ethnic campus
Oh yeah.
already,
Oh yeah.
which is really cool. It's really awesome because, you know, students come in from all kinds of different backgrounds and experiences, and they share those experiences with each other. And like I said, just helps us all become, you know, better and stronger and more whole.
Yeah. And especially in like Atlanta, which is a really culturally diverse place. I was wondering, since there's a lot of like music companies centered around Atlanta, have you seen that had an impact on uh, the project that students within the program are able to pursue?
Yeah, well, you know, some of the big heavy hitters are now in Atlanta, right? Google just put a big tower up downtown.
Yeah.
Amazon Music, one of their main offices, is in Atlanta.
Oh.
Microsoft is in Atlanta. I mean, it's crazy, you know. Those are the big ones, right? Those are the big
Yeah.
companies. We've got Turner Studios across the street, and
Yeah.
you mentioned the commercial music or production side of things earlier. The other, you know, hundreds of recording studios around that students are
Oh yeah.
getting some experience working through those as well. Not just in the studio recording, but also like you know, artist management and, you know, kind of in the label side of things, distribution and things like that.
Yeah. I think the location of Georgia Tech within Atlanta is like pretty convenient in the sense that there's not only we have this thriving technology industry, but we also have this music industry in Atlanta that's like sort of inspired the entire country. So I feel like that's what has allowed, part of what's allowed Georgia Tech to like combine the two industries into like an entirely new field. So yeah.
Absolutely.
And this past summer, I attended a short Georgia Tech summer camp on EarSketch, which is like a great way to get like middle school and high school students involved in music technology. What do you think are some other great ways to get younger students, not only to give them awareness about the industry, but also ways to get them involved in music technology?
Well, we also host a 2-week pre-college music technology camp every summer.
Oh,
We haven't done that the last 2 summers because of the pandemic, but
yeah.
that will be opening up again this summer. We haven't set the exact dates for it yet, but it's a 2-week residential. You stay on campus for 2 weeks in the dorms, and you spend those 2 weeks, like, you know, I do a lot on recording and mixing and production in that time, and we also have experiences from each one of our research labs within the School of Music, the robotics lab and the brain music lab and music for all, music informatics, cognitive and computational musicology. All of those labs, the students get experience in there. So you go, oh, these are all the different types of ways we can see what we have with music. Coming up soon, I don't know when you're going to put this out, but on March 12th on our campus is the Guthman Musical Instrument Competition. And that the web address for that is Guthman, Guthman www.gatech.edu. And that is an international competition for musical instrument designers. So some of the prior participants in that were the folks that make the Rolly Seaboard, the keyboard, this very tactile. They were a competitor one year. Teenage Engineering's OP1, the sampler keyboard, was in the competition one year. We always have world-renowned judges that come in, and they're the adjudicators for the weekend. I don't know if you're familiar with Rick Beato.
I'm not.
Okay, so yeah, he has I think 3 million followers on YouTube, and he's one of our judges this year. The CEO and founder of Ableton is one of the judges this year.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we've had Dave Smith, who is the inventor of MIDI. He's been a judge. Roger Lynn, who invented the first drum machine. He's been a judge. Jazz guitarist Pat Metheny's been a judge. Jay-Z and Beyonce's producer Young Guru's been a judge. So
oh my God.
Jordan Rudess from Dream Theater, the keyboard player from Dream Theater, was a judge. So yeah, it's pretty cool because they're on campus for a couple of days hanging out with our students, and it's the competition's open to the public, so anybody can get tickets and come to that Guthman musical instrument competition. That's on Saturday, March 12th. There's a student fair, technology fair during the day. I think it's from 4 to 7. It's on the website, that guthman.gatech.edu. But there's a student kind of technology fair where a lot of our students are demoing their product, the things they've been working on in the labs. And then that evening is the concert.
Wow. That's okay. So you said this was early March, right?
March 12th. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. That's so cool. So I had another question about the program itself at Georgia Tech. So how have you seen the program, the perception of what it was when it started? How has that evolved over time until now? And do you see the program start evolving even more in the future?
Sure, good question. I'll start with the undergraduate program is only 5 years old.
Okay.
So we haven't had this program for a long time, but even in those 5 years, we've seen a very, very intense growth. A lot of interest from students like yourself, and also a lot of newfound ways that we're finding, like audio technology, in the discipline of medicine. So we have students that are finding jobs in hearing aid companies. There's all kinds of gaming audio, coding for plugins and all of those things. We have had a graduate program for about 15 years. So a master's program and then a PhD. So that's kind of where we've taken a lot of our lead from those. So and we continue to see those programs grow. And I have no doubt that they're going to continue to intensify and create even more opportunities for the students.
Yeah. Actually, I'm curious about what you said about medicine hearing aids before. So I think there's like a newer field, or not a newer field, but newer attention surrounding music therapy and like music medicine. So have you seen that sort of new entire industry affect the way students approach the program at Georgia Tech and what they go on to pursue after they graduate?
Yeah, we have a large number of students come in that are interested in neuroscience. And we have a brain music lab as one of our research centers. So our students are studying the effects of audio, not only on our cognitive ability or how we perceive or feel about music, but also how that can affect us physically. What the sound of a rapid heartbeat as opposed to a more sublime heartbeat, or how can a specific frequency help mitigate an epileptic seizure, for instance? So there's a lot of research going on in that within the Brain Music Lab.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about neuroscience relevance towards speech technology, but now I see that it's like has a profound impact on music therapy and such. So that's awesome. Yep. Have you seen other fields intersect with music and music technology that like a couple of years ago would not have been as at the forefront?
Well, that is one. Biomedical engineering is a big discipline on our campus.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see students combine those two programs. Georgia Tech's got a very strong business school. So as our students become more entrepreneurial, they start to seek ways that they can monetize their creations, or their inventions. So there's a lot of partnerships being developed now within that. And then we've got a film studies program on campus too. And we see students that are starting to slide around and look at technologies, not to be a sound designer or a composer for film necessarily, even though you can still do that, but more like what technologies can we create to help, sound in film, or whether it be, as an output towards the audience, how can we create a better environment there, or as an input, what's a better way for us to create input into the film? So we're just kind of starting a lot of that, that research.
That's very cool. So I didn't really think about so obviously we brought up like the composition and film scoring surrounding that, but I didn't think of the technological work that has to go in beforehand for the composition scoring to even happen to begin with. So that is very cool. Is there another industry that hasn't taken full form around campus yet that you see or has the potential to potentially become one of the largest intersections with music tech in the near future?
That's a great question. There's so many possibilities. It's really hard to. Again, we just continue to stumble upon, new ways to create, and to collaborate. Right. So it's tough to say exactly. So I'm sure something will pop up that's completely unexpected. But
that's something that Georgia Tech's really good at, is like the second one field like gets a little bit of popularity, Georgia Tech like always swoops it up and then understands like how to capitalize on that the most, which is really profound. Is there what's a common trait that you see among music technology students that was either not found in students before, or is like that helps them succeed in synthesizing music tech with other industries, if that made sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's kind of hard to say because I've been at Tech for long enough that I was there for a good number of years before the degree ever started. And we saw the same students in our ensembles, in our bands and orchestras and choirs, the computer science students and electrical engineers, the mechanical engineers, aerospace engineers, so on and so forth, that we see now. But now there's actually a home for those students to participate in both of their passions. And one of the primary reasons we started the program was because we had students of computer science, you play the saxophone in the band and they have to do their senior design project and they want to do it about music. Well, let's flip that around a little bit and let's let you be a musician and do your senior design project on computer science about music. So it's the same type of students, I think, that we've had that are very passionate about music and are very into science.
That's really cool. I think that passion has like allowed a lot of other small niches within music to like arise. Like for instance, so just for some background, I'm a music producer. Like I make instrumentals in my free time and I like upload them online. There's this one website called BeatStars. Uh it's essentially a platform for people to sell like instrumentals to other artists. Uh
Yep.
I'm really curious, have you seen the entrepreneurial part of music technology? Have you seen that have you seen like that birth surround Atlanta and Georgia Tech?
Oh yeah, yeah, very much so. You know, we have CreateX is a startup incubator on campus.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so students, actually one of the first sponsored products through CreateX was a music product.
Oh,
And those students, yeah, those students sold their company to Ultimate Guitar.
wow.
Yeah, so there's that. There's a huge building that's owned by Georgia Tech called the Coda Building, which has
Hmm.
sponsored research, and it's very, again, you know, you name the major company and they've got their kind of talons, you know, into tech somehow. So there's a great
Yeah.
pipeline there. That promotes that entrepreneurial spirit. You know,
Yeah.
the students know they can get. There's a way that they can get support.
Yeah. I feel like that is one of the most important parts recently, is because a couple of years ago, even music tech was kind of something that students pursued on their own. And it was
Yep.
like I can tell from personal experience, it's not taught in high school yet, at least for me. And in higher education, only recently it kind of got that thing. So I feel like now, especially in such a large school like Georgia Tech, you're able to foster, not only like allow, but encourage students to pursue that passion in a way that you wouldn't be able to elsewhere,
Right.
which is what makes Georgia Tech special as a school, and it's something that I've like really find interesting. I also had a question about, so I talked before about BeatStars, and something that has changed in the music industry by itself is that before, to like make music, you had to have like really high profile connections, expensive studios, and all that stuff. But then now, music technology, like we mentioned Ableton before, and FL Studio, that's allowed people to like make music from like their bedrooms. And something that has really amplified that is social media and through promotion. So have you seen music technology not only affect the obviously the production of music, but have you seen it affect other parts of the music industry as a whole?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is essentially the only way you can get found as a musician now, is through your social media channels.
Oh yeah.
I so you know, obviously I'm in my car right now. I'm actually driving to Charlotte, North Carolina to see my son. My son's touring with a band right now.
Oh wow.
My oldest son, yeah, he's been with this. He's a singer songwriter named Pony Bradshaw. It's kind of folk Americana country stuff. But it's my son Ryan. Sorry, I can put you on your cast here.
Oh, no, it was
He's extremely active on social media. I mean, and he's got tons and tons of gigs, lots and lots of work, whether it's doing session work or, you know, backing a band up or, you know, anything. But he's gotten to be very busy because of social media. You know, that's the advertising right now, and because pretty much anyone can make a really great sounding record. I'll use record, right? A recording. And it's really easy to distribute your music now, right? I mean, we all have streaming services and ways to hear any song you ever wanted to hear. Pretty much, I mean, the best way to make money as a performing musician these days is just to go tour.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And to play in front of people, because you're not making money from selling your music.
No.
Right? That's all by the wayside when people were selling platinum albums and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we always see all these you know, the oldies rock bands are back out on tour. You know,
Yeah.
that's why every summer you can find the whole list of the 70s and 80s rock bands, you know, doing the outdoor venues.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we started off with we went from production to now distribution of music. So when I'm really curious about like when artists are actually performing, there's obviously, especially now with a whole bunch of synthesized music and a lot of technology inspired sounds, stage tech has become like really important in delivering those performances. So like one example, if you look like some EDM DJs, right? Their shows revolve around a booth, but obviously to get people engaged and get people excited, you have to have all these visuals and like all this incredible lighting and a whole bunch of other effects. Has stage tech been something that students at Georgia Tech have been pursuing recently?
To some extent. That's not a primary focus of our program, but we do have a professor in the school that teaches a lot of performance technology, a lot of visualization, a lot of lighting and video control systems. So students can have that experience and have that opportunity to insert that and infuse that into their performances if they want to, or help others put that into their performances. Yeah, but I mean, even, you go see whoever the big pop star is, there's a music director that hits the space bar on their laptop and the song starts going, right? I mean, there's a click, the musicians are playing to click, there are samples flying off, lights are being cued off the show control on the computer, lights, pyro, whatever it is, everything's being synced and controlled by that main source of time.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, what was the name of the professor who engages in performance tech?
Sure. Dr. Frank Clark.
Dr. Frank Clark. Okay.
Yep.
Great. Okay. So I had another question about the video part of music. So just for context, before, video cameras, expensive, right? There's like $40,000 red cameras sometimes, but there is predominantly in the rap video game scene where music videos are like very important to not only the promotion but also the sales. There's this individual named Cole Bennett. He founded a video company called Lyrical Lemonade. He's really qualified. He's given TED Talks and such. He recently he did this thing where he's begun shooting videos on an iPhone, and they're really well. They're like 50 million views or something. But I'm curious, is the video part of music technology, has that also been pursued at Tech?
Not specifically.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Are you talking, let me ask you this though, are you talking from a technological standpoint, like increasing the capacity or the aesthetics of what is being captured? Not necessarily aesthetic content. Like that's a beautiful flower. It's, how can we capture that beautiful flower?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's not, let's make a beautiful flower. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, either, we're not doing either of those, but that would my kind of, question again, is this like, because we're so focused on making the technologies to capture things or to enhance or make things better, we're not always creating the thing. It's like we're not creating music.
Exactly. We're creating the things that make the music.
Right.
That's, yeah. That, I feel like that's, especially in like a rapid developing age now where we have like Rolands and Moods and all these synthesizers that have been like, that was my next question. So a couple of decades ago, you would have people like Roland and Moog and Juno make these like synthesizers, right? They were incredibly expensive. They still are. They're sometimes thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars for them. However, recently with digital audio workstations like Ableton and FL Studio, these companies have begun making VSTs and plugin versions with the same sounds. Has that been, I'm assuming that's something that Georgia Tech has been partly responsible for, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We, I don't know if we're directly creating any of those, but our students are certainly learning coding, plugin coding, virtual instrument creation. There's a professor in the electrical, computer and engineering college that we do a lot of collaboration with. That's actually a concentration that a lot of our music tech students take. Because in addition to just taking the music technology degree, you have to choose a minor on campus. So ECE, or electrical and computer engineering, is one of those more popular ones because the students are very interested in synthesis, and how that works and how it functions, but they're also creating software versions of those.
Yeah. I feel like that's, for me, that has been the most important development. Like, obviously, audio workstations are really important and such, but as someone I'm 15, I don't have $50,000 to go and buy like a whole studio. So I feel like that is like the most important part for me as someone who wants to make music and share the art with other people, being able to find sounds that people are familiar with that are unique but are still acceptable. That's something that has assisted me and like the entire industry too. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we we teach a class called Laptop Orchestra, where the students create a lot of their own pieces. They study what mobile music is, creating music on your phone or your laptop, and then they create their own pieces and perform their own pieces. And a lot of times they're writing in pure data or Python. They're writing code to build these instruments.
Yeah. I just find that's like so profound, because it's like, before, a couple of years ago, for me, I enjoyed music, right? And I loved computer science, but I never really saw them as like something. I thought they were mutually exclusive. But I feel like, especially after you came and spoke at our school, it just like completely like blew my mind that these two things I thought were independent of each other were actually like dependent on each other, which was like, it was eye-opening and it was mind-boggling. So
that's awesome. That's the beauty of this whole program.
Exactly.
Yep.
So is there anything else in specific that you would like to mention about the program that we didn't get to touch on?
Not specifically. You came up with some really good questions.
Thank you.
We covered a lot. I've covered a lot of very diverse areas within this kind of field, which is very diverse in its own.
Yeah. So I guess to wrap things up, do you have any advice that you would like to give to aspiring music tech students like myself?
Keep your grades up.
Yes, that's important.
I mean, if you're interested in going to an engineering school, obviously getting in is step one. But yeah, just try to experience as many different types of technology as you can, and keep your mind open to anything. Is the best way to kind of learn what all is out there and what's possible, and you'll be the ones next to create those next technologies that everybody will be using.
Yeah, that's great. So wow, I'm like still digesting everything, so that's why I've been. Yeah, so thank you so much for sitting down with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Yeah, I'm still like digesting everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's my pleasure. It's great talking to you, seeing you again. So
yeah,
let me know if you have any questions. Anybody wants to come down and visit the campus? I'm always happy to.
Oh yeah.
Meet and do tours.
Okay. Yeah, I will definitely let you know on that. So.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. I will.
Yeah, my pleasure.
See you soon.